Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's just gone past 1 p.m. My name is Faraz Patel. We're coming to you live from our Johannesburg studios here at Hilaal TV. Now, of course, the big news of the entire weekend is none other than the snow, the weather that affected the N3 Harrismith route. Whether you were coming from Johannesburg to Durban or going from Durban to Johannesburg, it was something where a lot of the motorists had really gone through a difficult ordeal. Unfortunately, 2 lives were lost due to hypothermia, and it was a testing times for many South Africans who had used that route. But the beauty of our country, the beauty of Islam comes where we have various NGOs coming to the party and assisting many of the people that were stuck on the roads, and none other than it was Imdaad Foundation who really came to the fore and assisted many of the people. And joining me now on Zoom, I'd like to welcome Abed Karrim, who serves as the Intergovernmental and Special Projects Coordinator for Imdaad Foundation. Abed, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and jazakallah so much for joining us.
You and your viewers, and also good afternoon to some of your viewers.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Abed, talk to us about, when we were speaking yesterday, arranging this interview, you told me you were in there. You were within the actual this chaos that was ensuing on the N3. Talk to us about that, please.
Well, coming back to Friday night, we were traveling from Durban on our way to Escort, to our head office, Imdaad head office. And as we approached the toll at Mooi River, and as towards Escort, they had seen a whole lot of traffic being stacked up. And then we realized that they had closed the road because of black snow, which then means that you cannot travel on these roads because the cars will slide and accidents, etc. So the Imdaad Foundation teams, we were 3 of us, and we were caught in the stack up, and we had to be on to the highway about 17 kilometers from Midway service station, if the listeners will know where Midway, the Escort testing ground. And we were there for something like 19 to 20 hours, and it wasn't a very, very pleasant experience. But one thing that has taught us here as disaster practitioners, that we now have first-hand experience of what the community goes through sitting in those cars with children, with old people, sick people, infirm, and etc. It's not a pleasant experience.
Abed, obviously Imdaad comes and they start assisting people. Obviously you can't cover the entire N3, but you can cover sections where the people really needed it. Talk to us about that and how Imdaad was able to do things effectively so that those stuck on the road could have the basic necessities to keep themselves going.
So Alhamdulillah, the Imdaad Foundation is part of national disaster, provincial, district, and local disaster management centers. And we are also part of the N3TC, the National Road Traffic Caring of the Highways. We're part of their advisory forum. So a month or 2 before snow comes, we are in the snow protocol meetings, and there are preparations taking place, etc., as to if these situations do come about, how do we respond effectively? So for the last 10 years, Imdaad Foundation has been responding whenever there was a situation like this. So if you take the situation now, let me paint a picture for our viewers out there. From Mooi River going right up to Escort, that entire stretch was up to knee-high. And believe me when I say knee-high, because I walked in that snow coming out of it. And you come from Van Rienen, the bottom of Van Rienen Heights, out of Ladysmith, right up to Harrismith, before Harrismith, it was all with snow, the same, what they call height. So this is what has happened over there, and you could not move at all. There was no way you're going to be moving in any direction. And what we found was that many of the motorists that were in desperation, where we were stuck as the Imdaad team, we had a mother that came looking for us and asked, please, can we have some hot water? I need to make milk for my baby. Another motorist came and said, please, do you have jumper cables? My batteries are dead and I need to keep warm in the car. The car is frozen. Because remember, you're sitting in the car, you got your car. Our car was idling for 19 hours. and you got to just manage whatever you have. And lucky for us that we had carried some water, some chips, and etc., and it kept us going till next morning. What about all those who are diabetics and those who are sick and need tablets, etc.? It is not an easy situation. So alhamdulillah, from our escort office, which is only about 10 kilometers to the highway, our teams were activated immediately because we were prepared in these kind of circumstances, because when the notice was given out of snow coming, all our preparations had kicked in. Then from the Ladysmith area, we had responded with teams from there to Van Renen Heights. And of course, Harrismith, we had teams that we were working from Harrismith side that came and responded on that end. But I must say that it was not easy to get right to the top. On Saturday morning, our teams were out early in the Moy River area and helping out in the escort area. Then we came at Maghrib time Isha. We put a whole team together and we moved onto the Van Renen Heights. And our teams worked right up till Fajr time in the morning, helping, giving out food, sanitary towels, hygiene packs. Water was a big need. There was some of them who needed diesel. We had to take some diesel and go and assist some of them, and many other interventions. But the basic need was water and food that people needed. And I must tell you and your listeners out there that it is very difficult if you need to relieve yourself and so forth. It was a real great challenge.
Abed, I want to talk about that M3 route because, I mean, there's Montrose, you spoke about Midway, then is, of course, the Harrismith engine garage. So there are stops, but those stops are few and far between. And there's a stretch on that highway, whether you are coming from Durban or going to Durban, where there's nothing at all, and all you have is you just have road, and you have, of course, bushveld between the two. Talk to us about that, please, and just how important that was to keep the people going.
Sorry, you've been cutting off there. Can you just repeat that question?
No, I was talking about just the importance of making sure that when there's that barren a part of that highway where there are no stops, no filling stations, how important was it that the people that were stuck at those parts to get the necessary aid that Imdaad had provided?
Very, very difficult, because many of them had tried to walk to all those stations where they were. For example, let's take Montrose. If you were stuck between Van Renen Garage, the garage had got emptied out with diesel, it got emptied out with food, water, etc., and they wouldn't get any more supplies in because you could not get trucks in. Secondly, if you were at Montrose, your nearest point to Harrismith is like about 10 to 15 kilometers. And how do you get there? Because you were not prepared for this. You were not envisaging that this is going to be the situation and so much of snow is going to be falling. And there was no way. You are stuck, you cannot move out. And they're taking a chance leaving your vehicle and walking out on the road in that freezing cold with the breeze hitting you, with snow your knee high, is a very likely that you could die on the road.
Abed, we have to come to the end of our discussion. Jazakallah so much for joining us here on the news on Hilaal TV. Much appreciated. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to grow your organization, Imdaad, from strength to strength in assisting people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thanks for all those who supported the people on the road day. May God bless all of you. May Allah reward you all. Jazakallah khair.
Ameen, Tuma Ameen. That's Abed Karrim from the Imdaad Foundation. After the break, we'll have more for you on the news here on Hilaal TV. To stay tuned.